Welcome back from break. We're moving right along through the rest of the model-driven apps in Module 3. We're going to be taking a look at customer service and field service. So for this module, we're going to be looking at how really you can engage your customers and improve that experience. Because remember, in sales and marketing, we looked at ways from the time that they first engage with you through the time that they basically hand over the money to an engager your services. Well, now we're looking at once they are a customer, once they're already engaged with you, how are you maintaining that same level of engagement? And we'll look at the different ways for you to manage your resources and make sure that you have all of that data that's coming in from your customers, and you're using that to help manage your teams and ultimately enable them and empower them to make the best decisions for not only the business, but ultimately your customers. So we're going to start lesson 1 with an overview of the Dynamics 365 for customer service. Now, with customer service, this is a journey that goes from the customer to the agent to the customer service manager. So what happens is that the customer is actually going to engage with your organization. And this is actually an omni-channel option, which we'll discuss in a little bit, where they can engage either through phone, text message, social media, a chat bot. But essentially, they're engaging with your company some way. And from there, an agent is actually introduced. And the agent then is going to work with them on solving their problem. And whether it's taking information from a virtual chatbot or using the knowledge articles, they're actually going through and resolving that issue. Now, from each case that may come in, data is being collected. You know, perhaps you have 10 customer service calls in one day on the same issue. That's data. And all that data is going to be going into to Dynamics 365 for customer service. And this is providing your customer service managers, your organization, with those tools to identify solutions and then ultimately improve the process. And with Dynamics 365, it helps you manage customer expectations, and it gives you the necessary tools to keep your customers happy. This level of support is especially important when something doesn't go as planned. Now, it's going to help you manage your caseload. If anyone has worked in a customer service environment, the case can come in really fast. And when a case comes in quickly, you know, the customer doesn't know if they're their first case of the day or their 500th case of the day. But you want to make sure that every single customer has the exact same experience. Now, before we get too deep into what Dynamics 365 customer service can do for your organization, I want to talk a little bit about just some key terminology that you might need. Now, the first one is going to be a case. A case is a question or a concern or a problem or basically anything that a customer is reaching out to your organization to ask about or get assistance with. Now, queues are basically containers that cases will go into if we're still waiting on a response from an agent. So perhaps you email, a customer emails a case in, and it is regarding warranty. There would be a queue for all of the customer service cases that are regarding warranties. Then we have entitlements. Now, this is very similar to a service level agreement or a KPI. Basically, these define the level of service or support that has been promised to the customer. So this knows the level of service that you need to reach in order to meet that agreement. And then with service level agreements, basically, this is defining the level of service. So maybe it may be response time or something like that. And then finally, we have our knowledge articles. This is something that can be used internally or externally, that it's information that's been put together by subject matter experts or perhaps a product group that are there to help resolve a problem. Now that we have some of that foundational knowledge, let's go ahead and look at how all of these elements, including the business process flow within Dynamics 365, work together to provide a complete solution. And what I have here on your screen is actually a graphic that's pretty typical of a customer service support scenario. So let's say, for example, we have a gold customer, and that gold customer is their entitlement. Now, this customer is entitled to 15 cases over a 1-year period. Now, they have a choice of opening these cases from multiple channels, whether it's through chat, phone, email, maybe even text. But in this graphic, the customer actually sent that via email. So once that email has been received, a record is created, and there's rules that have been set up that the system is automatically creating a case. So this is one way that Dynamics 365 is able to help run and automate some of that process. It doesn't have to go into an email box and wait for someone to open it and then create a case. It's automatically following through. So after Dynamics 365 customer service creates that case, there's a routing rule that's put in place. And because it's a gold customer, it's placed in the gold queue. And remember, that queue is just a container of cases that basically were waiting for some type of response. So we have a service level agreement that is associated with this account that it shows you that you must respond, so the customer service agent must respond within 15 minutes once that case has been created. So that's the service level agreement that's been put in place. So from there, there's a lot of work that's been gone on the back end because the Dynamics 365 customer service, there's a pre-configured case resolution process. And what it's going to do is that agent is going to get that case. And from there, they're going to identify what the issue is. They're going to research, and whether that's using a knowledge article or perhaps maybe reaching out to another customer service rep, they're researching and then ultimately resolving that issue. After that case is resolved, the customer's record is then going to be updated to show that they have 14 cases left on that entitlement. Now, this is just a small example of the way that all those different elements that we discussed in Dynamics 365 customer service can work together. So let's actually get a little bit deeper, and we're going to take a look at some of the account management options that are available in Dynamics 365 customer service. As your customer service agents are working with customers, it's really important that they have the necessary information, the data available to them, and they need to be able to access it quickly. And this is ultimately going to impact how quickly they can assist the customers. So some of this information includes data like open cases or active service contracts, maybe even past communication with a customer. And this is all really important for your customer service agents to have at their fingertips. Now, with Dynamics 365 customer service, there's a number of different components that are available from the account level that allow you to engage with the customer using that data. So we have what's called a timeline, and this timeline includes activities, notes, posts, all directly in that account. And your agents are able to see all of that relevant communication from a single point. And they can take action, which includes managing or closing open activities, perhaps adding new activities. Maybe they took a phone call or they followed up with that customer directly, or they're actually able to capture notes with that timeline. And in addition to that, there is actually a related section where you can see associated records from maybe past calls or something like that, all in a single location. Dynamics 365 customer service simplifies how your agents access data and enhances your agents' productivity and effectiveness. Now, when we talk about managing the life cycle when it comes to cases, there's a couple different dashboards that are going to be available to your agents by using Dynamics 365 customer service. And this is one of the key ways that makes it easy for your agents to find and manage cases. These dashboards include different filters where you can actually drill down into the data, and we have numbers of different interactive charts. So here on the screen, I have an example of our Tier 1 and our Tier 2 dashboards. On Tier 1, this includes multiple streams of data from a number of different entities. So it makes it easy to work with the cases and the related items. Maybe that includes activities or emails. Where your Tier 2 dashboard has a single stream of data, and it's based on the active cases. It's going to include multiple titles, and it has these interactive charts for working with case data. Now, I want to look very specifically of within the flow. So we looked at a full view of what a customer service business flow may be, but let's just look at what it would look like from a phone call standpoint and how these dashboards can actually help your customer service agents respond to that. So here we have Nancy. Nancy Anderson is placing a call for service. So a dispatcher is going to log the phone call activity, and that phone call activity is going to get sent to an agent who's converting it to a case. So first, we're in that identify stage. And so this is the flow. We're going through that identify, research, and resolve. Once the customer gets it, they're in their identification. Well, they're adding that 15-minute call to the case. Now, we have that research stage. And when they're researching, they're using that knowledge articles to find. Now, Nancy called about the 15-minute resolution. Now, it took a little bit longer than that. And so the case resolved, and that 1 hour of time was billed to the customer. Now, we don't know what type of entitlements that Nancy had or what their service level agreement has, but as you can see, we have the 15 minutes charged from the agent and the dispatcher's phone call, 30 minutes to research, and 15 minutes to talk about the resolution with Nancy. So ultimately, that is all going to be billed to the account for 1 hour of service. Now, it might be that they have 40 hours of service or they're charged individually. It's hard to say what that was with this example, but you can see how we go from the identify, research, and resolve. Let's actually get into the portal and take a look at what that customer flow may look like and how simple it is to see those dashboards and work through. Now that we're in the customer service portal for Dynamics 365, you'll see that we have a very similar feel to marketing and sales. And like I said, all of these model-driven apps are very similar and have that intuitive feel. And all of your information is going to be at your fingertips. So some of the things that we've already looked at, we have our accounts, we have our contacts, we have our social profiles that are similar to our marketing. But now we have under our service, we have cases, queues, and knowledge articles. So remember, our cases are going to be those individual requests for assistance or information. Queues are going to be those containers of cases that still need resolution. And knowledge articles are going to be somewhere where we can actually go and do our research. Now we can see here, I have my dashboard, our social dashboard. But if I just wanted to go to my customer service representative dashboard, I'll be able to see my different types of cases where they've come in from, whether it's email, phone, or web, my cases by priority, maybe some of my activities. So it looks like I have some phone calls where I need to follow up or different tasks there. But let's go ahead and go into our cases. Now, this is a view for my active cases. So I can see there was a defective item delivered. So let's go ahead and look into that for our City Power and Light customer. Now, very similar to our sales, where I have my business flow up top, this one is going to be specific to customer service. This is where I'm able to identify, research, and resolve. So here I'm actually identifying what the problem was. So I can see that the origin is from the phone. I can actually go in and see the customer account information, and I can click into here if I want to go to the account. But I have some handy dandy customer details where I can see the company name, the email, and phone. And if they had any entitlements, it would be here, as well as any recent cases. It appears that this is their only case that's recent, and it's the one I'm currently on. Now, I'll be able to see the timeline here, and this is where I can actually go through and enter in any updates or follow-up information. Very similar to sales and marketing, it's where I can log appointments, emails, phone call, or even if I wanted to add a task, maybe a follow-up item where I know it's going to take 3 days to get that order reshipped to repair that defective item. Maybe I set a follow-up reminder, so that way 3 days from now I'm going to get a note to make sure that it was sent out. From here in the research stage, I can either go into the knowledge articles and look up a different article. Maybe someone else had a similar problem. We can see our associated knowledge records if there are any here with the account. If there's any other related cases, perhaps there was other cases that have been opened up with other defective problems, I would be able to see that all here. Or if they actually opened two, maybe they called and emailed, I had the opportunity to merge. And then additionally, if I have any other details that might need to be included, all of that's here. But this makes it very simple on the summary page for your customer service agents to see all the details in relationship to that case. We've discussed a little bit about the knowledge articles. Let's actually dive into a little bit deeper of how you and your customer service agents can actually handle your knowledge management. Dynamics 365 Customer Services knowledge management capabilities is really great for helping you and your customers to quickly find information on how to resolve common issues or maybe perhaps answer frequently asked questions. So there's a couple different knowledge management solutions that you can deploy within your organization that one will increase productivity, but it also can increase customer satisfaction by giving your customers the ability to access these articles on their own and potentially self-solve their own issues. So, for example, if I wanted to create an article, I have the ability to create one, upload it, and then not only can it be available for your agents to use, but it can also be published on a portal where customers with certain entitlements or different permissions can actually go in and review this information. And it's very simple to create a knowledge article within Dynamics 365 Customer Service. So there is an editor where you can create very dynamic content with embedded images, hyperlinks, or you can even write your own HTML documents. And it's simple to manage the lifecycle. So you can actually set a lifecycle to make sure that it's reviewed on a standard schedule to make sure that it's updated, because there's just nothing worse than having an out-of-date document. And if you have customer service agents who support customers in multiple languages, you can actually make translated versions of these knowledge articles. So that way you can publish all of these translations at the same time, and it's available to your customers and your agents in multiple languages. But what I think is really cool, and as we talk about everything with Dynamics 365, specifically in customer service, is that you have the ability to track and analyze these different statistics, because you can see how many times an article is used or how many times it's sent to a customer. And you can actually use this for potential training or enhanced product development. And it's really nice to have these knowledge articles because it reduces your case resolution time and it's improving your agent productivity. And it will help you contain those customer issues, and that way you're not having to keep it open for an extended period of time. And knowledge articles can actually help your customers be self-sufficient and answer some of those frequently asked questions. Now, with customer service and kind of with the knowledge base being self-service, I want to talk to you about omni-channel customer service. Because if you have a service-focused organization, you're going to need to adjust maybe how you provide support to your customers. Customers want to engage with services and companies on their terms. Remember, that's part of that digital disruption. So they're going to contact you in a way that they feel most comfortable. Now, you want to make sure that you're offering your customers various support channels and different ways for them to reach you, whether it's phone, email, live chat, social media, forums, self-service knowledge bases. These are all different lines of support where they could be reaching out to you. Now, because you give your customers multiple support options, you make it easier for them to start requests. Now, this increased volume may make it difficult for your agents to keep up. But that's where we have various channels and different supports that can be put in place for that. So for example, if you were to use chats or text messaging or perhaps through social channels, is you can actually take advantage of a virtual agent. And the virtual agent is really nice because they can actually interact with your customer through very low-code programming where anyone can create a bot to help with some of those frequently asked questions. Or perhaps you create knowledge articles with associated videos to help support that. So again, Omnichannel for Dynamics 365 customer service is going to allow you to work with customers in a way that works best for them. This allows you to engage with multiple customers at a time, all from a single interface. And each of these sessions are going to give you contextual information so that way you can spend more time finding a resolution and less time on data intake. Because we're going to have that AI built in very similar to sales and marketing that has that sentiment analysis. Or you have a virtual agent for every time they get a text regarding perhaps a defective order, a knowledge article will automatically be sent to them. So this allows you to reduce call times, improve customer satisfaction ratings, and provide your customers with that personalized customer service. One of the great tools available to your customer service agents is Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. And this is particularly useful, especially since they may be getting cases from a number of different channels. Dynamics 365 Customer Insights is going to provide your customer service agents as well as their managers insight to operational data that might help identify different trends about support issues. And it can help you evaluate and how to respond to customer issues. And this is huge when it comes to key performance indicators and customer satisfaction levels. So what it does is actually analyzes all of your support cases and it groups similar ones together. And all of this is done on the back end using artificial intelligence. Now these groups allow you to focus on the issues that are having the biggest impact on your organization and allows you and really empowers your employees to make smarter decisions about what they need to automate or where does additional knowledge articles need to be developed to basically deliver exceptional customer service. And what's nice is a lot of these dashboards are built in and you're able to customize them and you can drill down and review different cases. And you can even give feedback and influence which cases are going to be included on other topics. So because we're going to have those customer insights, it's really, really great because you can add common support issues into those Power Virtual Agents. So that way you can actually build smarter bots quickly that are going to help with those incoming customer service requests. Today's customers have high expectations, and you want to make sure that you have the right tools in place to exceed those expectations. But first, you're going to have to remove the barriers that are preventing your customer service agents from delivering and your customers from receiving the best personalized experience. And with Dynamics 365 Customer Service, it allows you to deliver a complete omni-channel customer service. And what that means is that you have that self-service, that assisted service, and that on-site service. And this is really important when you want to have that digital disruption and be a leading competitor in your industry. Now, the role of customer service is going to continue to evolve, and you might need to change some of the entitlements. You might need to look at the ways that you support your agents. And Dynamics 365 Customer Service can help you in supporting that. Now, one of the things that goes along with customer service is going to be what happens if a customer service agent can't resolve the problem. And that's where we get into our Dynamics 365 field service. And what we're seeing in field service is that it's getting more and more connected. Because remember, at the beginning of the day, I talked about how there are so many items that are emitting some type of telemetry. And sometimes those items break. And so when a customer contacts your customer service agent and something needs to be repaired, that's where you're going to reach out to your field service team. And with Dynamics 365 Field Service, it's going to help you improve customer satisfaction and also maybe cut down on some of those preventative maintenance requests that could have been avoided and keep your customers' products up and running. Now, before we get into how we go about fixing things, I want to talk a little bit about Azure IoT Central. Now, IoT actually stands for Internet of Things, and we have devices all around us that use IoT devices to emit telemetry. So what Microsoft Azure IoT Central does, it actually enables your developers, the builders, to configure a set of roles and actions. And based on those actions, they're going to send alerts that are all going to be created in connected field service. And based on those service activities that happen, information is going to be sent back to IoT Central. Now, this is done by using Power Automate, which is a SaaS offering that we talked about a little bit, that can help automate workflows and across your applications. So let's actually look at an example of how an IoT request is going to flow into your connected field service. So what happens is we have a refrigerator. And this refrigerator is using an IoT device that's sharing the temperature readings with the local IoT hub. Now, you can actually go in and register these different assets, so a refrigerator, appliances, equipment, or anything with Azure IoT Hub or Azure IoT Central, all within Dynamics 365 Field Service app. Or you can even group them together, so maybe there's 3 refrigerators at a single restaurant. But what it's doing is it's actually monitoring the overall temperature of the unit. And it makes sure that it has the correct moisture level in specific zones. And what happens is if the temperature spikes, we might have something that lets us know, hey, we had a temperature spike, and a common fix for this is going to be a firmware needs to be updated. Well, because that the IoT device is actually connected to the internet, it's going to send all of that information out. And based on those conditions, Dynamics 365 Field Service is going to trigger an automated process. And that process is going to handle and resolve that alert. So let's just say, for example, the firmware needs to be updated. It can actually trigger the firmware to automatically update. But let's say, for example, a compressor fails. We're going to want to dispatch a technician right away because we don't want that customer to have all of the food stored in that refrigerator go out of temperature. So what can happen is that a work order is automatically added and the correct compressor that's needed to be replaced is automatically added as a necessary part. So whether on-site help is needed or if it's just a simple firmware update, you can actually have that all be managed remotely from Dynamics 365 Field Service. And this is really great because Dynamics 365 Field Service stores every alert that a device triggers and all the remote commands that are sent to the device. So if an agent or a worker is out there maybe doing a routine inspection, they can actually see when the last time the firmware is updated. And because everything is stored in Dynamics 365 Field Service app, it's available to your technician and they have a complete history available when they arrive at the customer location. And this is great because it harnesses all the data from all of your devices and it's going to help you troubleshoot and resolve issues both remotely or give your technicians a head start when they head out to a service call. It's really important that not only to have all the correct information and the history of the product that your technicians are servicing, but also that they're the right person for the job and they have all the tools and the resources that they need. And in order to schedule your technicians efficiently, your dispatchers need to have all the information about the technicians, the tools, the parts at their disposal to make sure that they can schedule someone correctly or that the technician is qualified to do the job. So what we have in Dynamics 365 Field Service is what we call Universal Resource Scheduling, or URS. And essentially what it does is it helps you make very quick decisions because everything is laid out right in front of you on the schedule board. And this allows your dispatchers to ensure that they are sending the right person at the right time. So the schedule board is really cool. And there's a couple, again, terminology that's important to know for Dynamics 365 specifically. So resources, that can be the technicians, and it can be equipment, it can be the facilities. Essentially, resources are anything that's needed to complete the job. Requirements are specific skills. So these are more of those qualifications, or it can be locations. And then finally, bookings are the time. That's the appointment, essentially. But what we have is we have artificial intelligence built in that can be the scheduling assistant, which can actually make recommendations based off of location, skills, qualifications of who is the best person to go out to that job. And it's really great because you're able to filter and look at the map panel where people are already working. You can see their schedule calendar. And so this avoids potentially overbooking or underbooking. It makes it very simple for your dispatchers as well as your technicians. And along with that, we have the resource scheduling optimization. And like I said, it makes sure that everybody who's on your team, all of your technicians, their schedule is optimized. So they're not driving from one end of town to another. That, they're getting the work orders that are grouped together. This is really important. This is really important because you can fit more appointments into your technicians' working hours, which can increase revenue, reduce overtime costs, as well as reduce fuel consumption and makes it so there's less vehicle maintenance. This is really important too because it can help avoid cancellation or delays, because if it's going to impact more than one technician, you can optimize the schedule for that specific technician so that way they can readjust their schedule and maybe go help another technician or perhaps end their day a little bit earlier. But again, you can use the schedule board to filter out your technicians or build out different scenarios. Now, your dispatchers are getting this great scheduling board, But what does it look like for your technicians? And your technicians are not in front of a computer. And when you're working in the field, if you need information, you need it now and at your fingertips. And so with Dynamics 365 Field Service, there is the Field Service Mobile. This is an application that has your technicians, when they were developing this, it put your technicians front of mind. So the mobile app ensures that your technicians have what they need when they need it. Whether it's working with their schedule, accessing customer data, looking at those IoT devices, managing their time off, all of that is available through the mobile application. Now, what's really cool about this is that if you were to set it up, you can actually have your parts barcoded. So when they scan in and start using a part, they can automatically scan it saying, I've used this, and it's deducted from the inventory. They can complete or view work orders or even order parts from the application. And when a work order is completed, instead of having them carry papers around and have the customer sign off, we can actually have it set up where the customer can sign right on a phone or a tablet saying that the work is completed. But here's the key thing. You can do all of this work online or offline. And this really makes it easier for your techs to focus on what they're there for, is to make sure that they're delivering customer service and the customer's product is up and running quickly without any major interruptions. Now, we didn't just think of the dispatchers and the technicians. We also wanted to make sure that the customer experience is really well thought out. So customers actually have mobile portals, or they can access it from the desktop as well, where they can create the work orders. So they don't necessarily need to call into the customer service line. They can create their work orders themselves. And remember, that's going back to that omni-channel customer service experience. When a technician is on their way, they can have live GPS tracking so they know when they can expect the technician to arrive, or they can turn on text notifications. And Dynamics 365 is all about data, and they're going to be able to see a full history of all of their services, their entitlements, their SLAs, all of that from their customer portal. The last thing that I want to discuss when it comes to Dynamics 365 Field Service is how we are adding mixed reality to just enhance the overall experience, not only for the customers, but mainly your technicians. So the first one is going to be Dynamics 365 Remote Assist. And we briefly touched on this in Module 1, but this is really cool because your technicians, when they're on site, they might encounter situations or problems that are outside of their comfort zone, and they might need help. And normally what would happen in this scenario is another technician would need to come out. And so that's more downtime for the customer. It's added expense for your organization, travel time, all of that is being built in. But Dynamics 365 Remote Assist actually solves that problem. Because what it does through the HoloLens, it allows the technician to phone a friend. It allows them to reach out to a subject matter expert in a different location and solve the problem in real time. But instead of the technician just having to describe what the problem is or what they need help with, the subject matter expert can actually see and advise and help out. So in this photo, we can see a technician getting help where normally they would have to send pictures, or perhaps someone else would need to come out. Or you can actually connect this through Teams, and others can chat or actually annotate in real life what they should be looking at or where they can where they need help. Now this again is that mixed reality. It's merging our physical reality with the virtual reality. The next one is going to be our guides for field service. And this is really more of, instead of phoning a friend, they just need instruction. And so this is really cool, especially for training and onboarding, because that can be a really time-consuming task, because you're taking an experienced technician out of the field to train a new technician. But with Dynamics 365 Guides, you actually can enhance that learning experience, because what Guides does, it allows you to standardize your training process, but also provide step-by-step instructions as if a experienced technician was right next to them. So you have these very impactful learning experiences, but you're able to integrate photos, videos, and 3D models. And this is really cool because you can increase productivity, you're able to close those knowledge gaps, and you have data that's going to help you improve your process when it comes to learning. Now, this HoloLens is really cool and something that can change the way that you work and run your business. I would highly recommend that you check out the video in the learning path of all the other things that the HoloLens can do. With that said, that actually brings us to the end of Module 3. We took a look at customer service, and through that omni-channel customer service, that allows your customers to reach out and interact with your agents in a number of different ways. And through virtual bots or knowledge articles, we're able to reduce the time that cases are open. But in the event that there needs to be service on site, we then took a look at field service and how that can optimize scheduling for your technicians, as well as increase productivity through schedule boards, the mobile app, as well as some of the mixed reality tools. As always, please make sure that you're using that learning path. There's so much good information, and there's videos, especially when it comes to the HoloLens, that you need to check out. And you can find that at aka.ms/D365funpath. Again, cannot recommend that enough, especially for those of you who are planning on taking the exam. There are knowledge checks to make sure that you have a full understanding. But let's go ahead and take one more break, and we'll come back and finish out with our final module for the day.